Good morning, everybody. So I woke up still sick. I started getting sick yesterday, and I was hoping that it was just allergies, but unfortunately, it's worse today. I'm pretty sure I'm choking on mucus, like I'm gonna choke to death on mucus. But that was disgusting. Oh well, I'm an oversharer. Okay, so I wanted to address something. Everybody has been messaging me that my email address, my phone number, and my address was shared online. And I put it on a public forum, so it's not technically doxing. Um, so yeah. You want to know about the new FOIA? I have filed a new FOIA. I've gotten a response from one of the people that they have it and they're digging into it. So when I get the records, they have not given me a date, like an official date, but they did tell me they have 30 days to respond unless they need more than 30 days because of the amount of evidence I'm asking for. So that's where I sit on that. Then whenever it comes to, hold on, I have another one. Oh wait, I can just look on my phone calendar because I have it on there. Sorry. I have one that's coming by March 13th is whenever I should get like my pricing for it. I have two more that I filed that I've not gotten a response to. So yeah, it's just a waiting game. What about the podcast of Andrea? Fuck Andrea. Andrea is a quack. I have not listened to the podcast. I did have somebody send me like an unlisted version of it so that like I could listen without her views, but I just can't bring myself to listen to it. So that's where we're at on that. I got the vibe that she was crazy back then and just didn't get into it. So okay, so I told y'all the other night that I was going to go live last night and continue some of the reading of Caitlyn and Nick's messages, and then I got sick, so I did not. Can we get a hint about the new FOIA? I can just tell you what all I filed for. So, hold on. So, I have filed for, hold on, let me go to one of the emails because one of them is just an email. Criminal Records Division. Oh, okay, that's for Bree's stuff. So I've filed for Bree's stuff. I also filed for, hold on, the list is long. In Gypsy's case, I filed for data from the hard drive from Nick's room, data from the USB drivers. In Gypsy's case, I filed for data from the hard drive from Nick's room, data from the USB drivers, the one. Sorry, that was Springfield calling me back. Okay, so what I put in a request for, I'll start back over. The data from the hard drive from Nick's room, the data from the USB drives, the one SanDisk, the one Flash Voyager, the IP NY 16 gigabyte, and the 1 day in electric gigabyte, the Waukesha video of the gas station, the DVD of Gypsy talking, the Dell Windows XP found in Nick's room, the Lenovo ThinkPad, both of them, because there was two, Passport Ultra storage device data, Pan digital tablet data, the chewing gum, if DNA was ever obtained from it, and if it matched either of the perpetrators or the victim, the DNA and other results from the following items: 82A, 83A, 11, 10, 119, 12, 120, 121, 31, 59, 60, 61, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 32, 33, 46, 47, 55, 56. Document papers including items of 64, 95, 96, 97, and 98. Bank records of Claudine and Gypsy Blanchard. Envelope letter Gypsy wrote was in. That's, I don't know why it's worded like that in their evidence log, but it is. Number 74, bank records of Nicholas Godejohn, Gypsy Blanchard's power of attorney, letters from Michael Sneed and Taylor Mays, notes found on the T5, Walmart receipts from 6/11 and 6/12 of 2015, bus tickets for Bella Godejohn and Nicholas Godejohn, the CD of medical records, which I don't know if I will even get that one, but why not try? DVD of computer forensics, laptops, computer from Volunteer Way, Walmart surveillance from 6/12/2015, number 125, number 141, and any results, 51, 41, and any results, number 101, number 132, the CD electronic files from the GoFund, crime scene diagrams, DVD of cell phone analysis, Facebook records of Allie Noble, fingernail clippings and DNA results, Facebook authenticity for Emily Nick and Jana Duff, business records declaration, 3 pages and 4 documents, data from the USB number 27998, file from the computer, the Domino's pizza receipt, letters from Gypsy to Kayla, copies of the photo album listed as evidence number 108, the Papa John's receipt, clothing from Gypsy upon custody, and if any DNA was taken from the blood on her shirt and the results of whose blood it was, number 28 from the nightgown, whether it was semen or not, and whose it was and where it was located in the house, as well as pictures of Allie's cell phone text messages between she and Gypsy Blanchard, Officer Hancock's photos, photos 2,655 through 2,678. I also put in for Bree the arrest narrative, mugshot, bond receipt, video, audio of the arrest for Bree. And then I put when she was detained. And I also filed for some stuff with the Highway Patrol. What else have I done? I've been on it whenever it comes to filing shit, so it's a lot. It's going to be expensive, but it's going to be worth it. So that is what all I have filed. Hold on, I'm trying to find. Okay. This does not stop here. They actually don't hate me. They've been responding to me very well. In fact, one of the ladies I called today, I was like, hi, I'm trying to submit a request, blah, 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 blah. And she follows Gypsy. She's like, girl, she's a hot mess. And anyways, so she was talking about that. I won't go into all the details, but anyway, she said that nobody has ever filed for what I just asked for, and she's been waiting for this day. So she was like, I'm going to be nosy too. How much do I figure it all will cost? I have no clue. I haven't even asked for an estimate at this point. Befriend her for a discount? Nah. They're trying to manipulate me. They definitely hate me. I don't think so. It wasn't the DS card. Gypsy's computer, I did. It was in that request. I just said the computer from Volunteer Way. Oh, you were talking about Gypsy and Bree hate me. Yeah. Hold on one second. Yes, ma'am.
Are you sure it's okay for me to move this? It was behind Dad's TV.
Yeah, it's fine.
It was also connected to a switch.
Oh. I don't know then.
There was an Ethernet cable connected to it.
Oh, I don't know then. Just leave it till he gets home.
Okay. How long are you going to be on stream?
I don't know. Okay. Are we continuing the Caitlyn messages? Yes, we're about to start those. Which y'all are gonna have to bear with me. I'm sure y'all can hear in my voice I'm sick, so I might cough a little. Ryan blocked you last night. I'm so sorry. Okay. Let's flip the camera. We'll continue with these messages. For those that have not seen this before, these are messages between Caitlyn and Nick. Caitlyn was Nick's ex-girlfriend, but he was talking to her while he was with Gypsy, and from the little bit we have seen, it is getting serious. He was cheating on that hoe. You're gonna spam me with TSPs? Oh, okay. Okay. So let's get everything switched over. Yeah, they're super cringe, and y'all have not read ahead on these. So, like, I scanned the first night, so we're going through this emotional roller coaster together. Okay, let's flip y'all. Let's turn you towards the screen. Okay, can y'all see that good? Why does he want up so much? I don't know. Okay, all right, we're gonna start here on February 7th of 2014. Nick says, Caitlyn, it seems we have to talk because yes, I got your message, and yes, I'm a little disturbed by it. And then he goes on and he says, Caitlyn, all I will say is that you have no reason to not trust me. You have always given reason to trust me. You have always, yeah, that's what he says. However, it just sounds to me that you're confused inside and you need to sort that out before you do anything irrational. You say you are even more so in love with me than before. Why? Is it because I am being a gentleman to you? I actually could sense you were to change the night before we had the good conversation. Yes, the one where you said goodnight to each other by our full names. So, with that said, Caitlyn, since I am not going to be the one or be on when you are, for I should probably get back home, for that heart, my heart is in a condition, what the fuck? This guy's so hard to read, to where I should rest a while. If I don't, I may put myself in a position where I might end up in the hospital due to a constant pain I feel in my chest. And it isn't from emotional distress. I believe it is from not giving my heart a chance to rest from walking so darn much. And I can't even drink soda without it burning my heart tissue. So, with that said, I may end up taking a week break from walking to the library, for it is probably wise to do so, just so I don't make the condition of my heart worse. It sounds like this guy was having some anxiety attacks, which I mean, I would be too if my girlfriend was trying to get me to kill her mom, but okay, let's continue. Condition of my heart worse instead of giving it a chance to heal. Well, all I have to say is if you are feeling grossed out by our past, then you are becoming a cold person I don't want to associate myself with anymore. Then, since the one I am with is building herself to be my ideal mate, for that it is the situation with her, as I can sense her maturing over time and a good maturing over time, maybe we will always have the bond we do. But what I said the day before yesterday is true. We can still use our bond in the ways I mentioned. But if you ever attempt to push me away, I won't stand for it anymore. I have dealt with it in the past too many times to count. Since that is the situation, I suggest you don't attempt to push me away. If you do, you'll probably hate yourself for the rest of your life for doing it, mainly because the time you said this is the last straw, you were sensing that I won't put up with it or with any more after this. So you knew you are close to losing me permanently. If you try to push me away, hopefully you don't attempt it, since it is nice to have you in my life. But when I said I have the one I have been looking for is the one I am with, I wasn't joking, Caitlyn. So please be wise and don't attempt to push me away, because if you are really staying, we will see based on your actions to come. And if you aren't, I probably will kick you out of my life permanently, as a only warning to you if you attempt to push me away, since my heart isn't in a condition to worry about others that I have. It is. God, I'd be so mad if somebody sent me a message that long. If it ain't that important, don't reach out. And she said, hold on, I'm cleaning house. Nick said, I already said what I had to, Caitlyn. And she said, I take their message didn't send. He said, it must not have because I didn't see anything except cleaning house. She said, I meant some people just go too far when it comes to posting stuff on Facebook. I'm not grossed out by our past, except my own actions in the past. And Nick said, well, I see. Well, like I said, I already said everything I had to, whether it was about trust or anything else. It was all said already. Everything I had to, whether it was about trust or anything else. It was all said already. Okay, y'all, I apologize. That was Missouri. They were calling me with some information. They're going to send me a message. So, okay, we'll get back into this. Let me make a note for myself. Okay. All right. What were they saying? I won't put that out yet. It's nothing necessarily interesting, but we'll see. Let's just say I'm going to be going to the Attorney General for some stuff. That's all I will say. Okay. So Nicholas said, I see. Well, like I said, I already said everything I had to, whether it is about trust or anything else. It was all said already in the long message because I have nothing more to say because it was all put out already. And she said, well, I'm about to vacuum the living room, go get some rest, talk to you later. And then he says, I will be on here for a while. I'm trying to ready myself to walk home. I am far from ready for that. And she says, ah. And he says, well, I pretty much know what is going on with my heart. So I'm going to let it rest before another 1.4 mile walk home. Caitlyn says, well, take ER easy then. I think she meant take it easy. Nicholas says, I have to take it easy. I could make it become severe, and if that happens, it won't heal completely up for 6 weeks. And she said, heart murmur or something? And then she goes on to say, I meant some people just go too far when it comes to posting stuff on Facebook. I'm not grossed out by our past, except my own actions in the past. Oh, so her message that she had sent ended up going in eventually because she was like, did you not get my message? That was it. And she said, about time that sent. Damn. Oh, okay, so she says about time is whatever. Y'all get what's happening. Nick says, it's just a muscle strain on the heart, which is common for people to experience. It is just that I had sensed to me on why it started to get worse. I have to stop walking everywhere. And it's true, I usually walk everywhere I go, so it keeps heart probably on a constant stress level. That is why the pain in my heart is going on. She said, could also be the cold weather. And then he says, I know it isn't that. The laptop I am carrying is somewhat heavy. So every time I go to the library, that is putting extra strain on my circulation of blood through my body. You see, it makes it have to work probably 2 times harder, maybe even 3, since I have to carry it by hand. And that along other things, I may have to keep the laptop cool and easy to use. Makes it heavier to carry a bag. Makes it heavier bag to carry. Oh, got you. She said, yeah, that makes sense. Nick said, exactly. So after Monday, I might not be on until the Monday after that one, since I plan on taking a 1-week break from walking long distances or longer distances. She said, somehow I need to start getting some sleep. Hard to sleep without a cuddle buddy, though. So she literally said, okay, I'm tired of talking about that. Let's talk about Smegs. And then she said, I can understand that. Nick says, oh, yeah, I suppose it is. And I may have to put your number in my phone for the time I'm not online, because I suppose we could end up missing each other while I'm not online, since I do expect it to happen. And she said, I've got AT&T. And he said, that's fine. Caitlyn said, oh, whatever. I'm generally awake from 9 to 5. And Nick says, Caitlyn, that is your generally awake time, but the for sure time, I mean, that one day you didn't get on until it was like noon around you. She said, I was sick that day. Give a girl a break, LOL. He said, a girl? I don't see a girl. The last time I checked, I thought you were a woman. Nick said, she says, LOL, now don't go calling me ma'am. That's one way to piss me off. I'm not an old woman. Nick says, ma'am, seriously, Caitlyn? The only reason I would say that is saying it to respect you. But then again, you're younger than me, so I don't see me calling you that anytime soon. She says, can't believe I'm almost 21. Fuck, switch those numbers around again. LOL, okay, sir. And he says, Caitlyn, you're not 12 and 21 means I have an instinctive feeling you'll be drinking more heavily in the future. She said, LOL, maybe a bit. Tequila, anyone? Thank you for the gifts. Nick says, I definitely know you too well. Caitlyn says, LOL, okay. What will I not drink? Bet you won't guess. Piss. You won't drink piss, Caitlyn. Nick says, wine. And she says, nope. Wine coolers, Bud Light, Miller Lite. I'm a strong believer in Budweiser. Nick just says, K. Caitlyn says, disturbing that I already figured that out, question mark. Nick says, not the fact that I am 24 and never bothered to drink speaks on how much longer I plan to live than it seems you do. Oh, Lord. That is all that is disturbing me. And she said, LOL, I don't drink that much. Nick says, maybe so, but I don't drink at all. I always said I might have maybe some red wine. The interesting thing is, I still to this day haven't had any. Oh, that's interesting because Gypsy loves to say how she never drank prior, and Nick saying he didn't. And she said, LOL, red wine is for candlelit dinner dates. Just my opinion, red wine is trash. I don't like it. Every red wine I've ever tried was disgusting, and I've tried a few because they break me out in hives, and I thought maybe it was just that brand. It's just red wine for some reason. Who is Caitlin Lee? It's one of the girls Nick was talking to while dating Gypsy. Nick says, but it has also been proven to be healthy to drink. I just haven't touched it though, because one, I feel like it's a waste of money, and two, I don't need to think about that leading to an unhealthy drinking style of life. Caitlin says, red wine is actually good for your heart. And Nick says, I know that, Caitlin, and that is why I said that. He would annoy the piss out of me with the, I know. Then he says, so you just said something I was already aware of. She said, well, I also smoke cigarettes, so yeah. And he said, and I'm proud I don't. Oh, Lord. She said, same here. It's a hard habit to kick. Caitlin says, remember when I worked at McDonald's, how I could budget my money and still have over half of my paycheck left a few weeks later? Not anymore. Nick says, it may be hard to break, but only ones who are relentless on quitting smoking actually do it. But for me, I guess my lungs are in a lot better shape than a normal smoker since, well, I guess that is also why I can still be energetic too, as it is good. As it is good, I pay attention to all the negative influences out there. What the fuck are you even talking about right now, Nick? Caitlin says, my lungs aren't too bad. Then again, a pack lasts me about 3 to 4 days, sometimes longer if I don't share them with my mom and cousin. Nick says, yes, but the only two reasons why my lungs aren't perfect is secondhand smoke and the hot, cold air outside. Otherwise, they are in proficient condition. Proficient. Jesus Christ, Nick. Caitlin says, true. Mine are scarred from pneumonia when I was a kid. Nick says, okay, so yeah, I'll have no trouble walking home. I just got to remember to breathe every few seconds though. So that way I don't mess up my blood flow, which isn't hard to do. It's just a memory thing. Caitlin says, yup. Nick says, However, I can't drink soda though, because for some reason it upsets my heart though. So right now I'm drinking Gatorade. And she says, oh, yummy. He says, it's better for me than soda. When I drink the soda now, it actually gives me a burning effect on my heart. When I drink the Gatorade, it gives me a more cooling effect. It's weird, but it is what it seems like. So Nick had heartburn, y'all. And he thought that it was fucking up his heart. They are brilliant. And she said, soda still makes my back ache. Yeah, because it has sugar in it. It causes inflammation. For anybody that didn't know, sugar causes inflammation. Okay. Nick said, okay, but what it does to me, it used to never do to me. So yeah, that is why I'll not be drinking that the longest I can. Hopefully this whole week that I am not any. And she says, no kidding. He says, of course I'm not kidding. The heart isn't something to mess with. That is something I know for sure that I won't take lightly. Caitlin said, well, that's a good thing. Nick says, Caitlin, that sounds like you don't remember. I have always been a wise person. And if anyone should know that about me that has known me for a while, it is you. She says, I didn't forget. Nick says, glad you didn't, because I was starting to wonder if you did for a moment there. Caitlin says, sorry, I'm just singing along to some tunes. And he says, that doesn't surprise me. Caitlin says, Little White Church by Little Big Town. And he says, what else? LOL. She said, LOL thrift shop. I'll take you to. Oh, wait, no, that's not the thrift shop. I was about to sing the candy shop. Oh, Lord. What a variety of taste. Nick says, okay. Caitlyn says, LOL, the song. And then she says, $20 in my pocket. Nick doesn't know what she's talking about. He's just like, okay. Nick says, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Just multitasking, as I'm sure you are too. And she says, you know, I do a lot of dirty dancing nowadays. Oh, shit. Is this why Gypsy learned how to rock her hips? Because this girl was dirty dancing. Nick says, yeah, true, but usually you need someone to do that with most of the time. She said, alone, of course. Nobody gets to see me dancing or singing. Or nor singing, sorry. He said, I pretty much touched that. Caitlyn said, LOL, too embarrassed to do it around anybody. Nick says, I doubt that. You did say at a time you might even do it around me, but then again, those are the past times. She says, if it ever happens. Nick says, but see, you remember saying it, I see. Or saying it, see. She said, I remember a lot from then. I'm going to invest in another push-up bra when I get a job. Sorry, thinking out loud. My hair is black and dark brown. Nick says, that's fine. You used to think out loud all the time around me. Then again, it was due to trust, and notice it didn't bother me. I'm going to go get myself a push-up bra. Hold on, wait. Anyway, she says, thanking black and blue lace. And he says, by shoe? Hey, interesting. Or for shoes? Hey, interesting. Oh, okay. And she said, LOL, a bra. And he says, oh, okay. That would be interesting too. And she said, dude, just look at me as your lesbian sister, LOL. Oh, Lord. I still like titties, especially mine. I like titties too, girl. Anyways, Nick says, well, I doubt that only because I know you well enough to see more than one thing in you that I can't see changing. And then you go into it about your own top. Then I shouldn't be surprised you are comfortable being that way towards me, talking about that. But it's okay. I have no problem with it. Just please don't try to turn me on because what I said that one day was true. Nick says, yes, about the power you have over me. I won't remind you if you forget, just because, well, I shouldn't remind you is the way I see it. Caitlyn says, it's probably because I'm forbidden territory. They're the corniest cheaters of all time. Nick says, no, not really. It's because, well, our bond and my natural attraction to you, that is why. He also says, it's not like I should say any more than it's all true. Caitlyn says, well, I doubt you could handle me now anyways. I'm gutter-minded. Nick says, I probably could handle you, but that is only because I have been able to in the past. However, I'm not sure I want to go there, sis. And she said, last I checked, you seem to prefer medium tits, bro. Oh my God. Nick said, wow, you don't remember me that well then, do you? Medium? I say any between size C and D cup, which we know Gypsy was trying to naturally enhance her boobs to a C cup. And then she responds randomly, fuck, okay, I've smoked pot before. What? And she says, I'm a double D. Wait, never mind. Nick says, you still have the D in yours. It might be double. That don't matter. I can still handle you, sis. She says, LOL, sure. Rolls eyes. Nick says, you know it's true. If I say it, but then again, it seems I won't anytime soon get to prove it. But wait a second, my word has always been on target when it says I can handle something. So, with that said, you can't deny when I said something, even if it is about your own chest. Oh my God. This gives me, I don't even know. Anyways, she says, okay, I'm a bit self centered around my own nice ass curves, beautiful eyes, lips, nose, and tits. She does have really pretty lips. We've seen a picture of her. Anyways, Nick said, don't get me wrong about the rest of your body, please. Or don't get me going about the rest of your body. Please don't, sis. LOL. She says, what, my short ass legs? LOL. Nick says, why do you have to remind me that I love that you are short? LOL. Ugh. Caitlyn says, did I mention I'm flexible? And he says, Caitlyn, quit it before you start to get my imagination going there, sis. LOL. She said, LOL, just tell me, quit hiding your thoughts, bro. Besides, I'm not short, I'm fun sized. And Nick said, hiding my thoughts? I knew you would try to take advantage of the truth of me being naturally attracted to you. You already got my imagination started by what you said so far, you know, sis? Psych means psych meant to say. Oh, he said to heart, sad face. Psych meant to say smiley face. And as for fun size, you'll have to prove that to me someday. She said, LOL, I'm getting all dolled up today. Been a while. And I'm feeling lazy. LOL. I've got some heels too. Nick said, I know, but we will see if you ever get to prove that fun size thing. Hee hee. Other than the whole thing, I'll just keep looking at animal lovers post. Oh no. And she says, LOL, nice. What's on your mind, Nicholas Paul Curdy Godejohn? And Nick says, besides you and my significant other? These posts I told you about, maybe because I'm trying to find some funny ones to post. And she said, she's gorgeous, by the way. I think she's talking about Gypsy. And he says, thanks. She says, you're welcome. He says, you seem in quite a good mood, which is always a plus. She said, just chilling like a villain. Nick said, sure. She said, what? Nick says, LOL. Oh, Caitlyn says, eat padussy, smirking. Nick says, I'll think about it. Caitlyn says, face palm. Nick says, I could be sexual about it, but nah, not this time. She says, cannibal. And then she says, LOL, smiley face. Nick says, well, I don't eat humans. Nice try, sis. Caitlyn said, you just said you'll think about it, LOL. And he says, but being a cannibal is way different than that. So no, nice try, sis. It didn't work this time. And she says, LOL, I'm starting to wonder if he's cheating. And then she sends a little slanty face. And then she says, what the fuck? I think I meant. And then this little face. She says, whatever. Nick says, wow, you are taking quite a while just to answer me, it seems. She says, what? Says you're not online. And Nick says, interesting, just an error that the site must be having. She says, I don't know. Wow. Nick says, the site at times does this with errors, so it won't surprise me. She said, I know. Oh no. Caitlyn says, I'm going for the ready whip. And she puts LIL, but I think she means LOL. Nick says, now what are you up to? She said, I'm heading to the fridge. You? And Nick says, but I don't know why you need the ready whip though. And she said, LOL, yogurt, sliced bananas, and whipped topping. And he said, that makes more sense. And Caitlyn said, usually when I feel this way, I eat it out of the can. LOL. Nick says, okay, however, I'm going to change plans here. It is going to be cold. It is going to be too cold to walk to the library this Monday. So I may just walk to this next week's Wednesday since the weather is bearable. And usually I shouldn't be walking in weather any colder than 15 degrees. And Monday, it's supposed to be 9 degrees with wind. That will make it feel like it is below zero. Caitlyn says, it just now hit 35.6. It was 23 this morning. Nick says, well, that is there, but not here. Here right now, it's at 8 degrees out. Caitlyn says, but sounds like a plan. Nick says, what? What I said sounds like a plan? And she says, fuck that brr. And she said, waiting till it's warmer out. Nick says, sis, that is what I just said. I won't be on this Monday. It will be moved to the middle of the week, that Wednesday instead, since it is warmer. And she said, okay. Nick says, I know you still worry about me still at times, sis, so I won't give you a reason to worry if I can make sure I don't, since, yes, I know you still care about me, or you wouldn't have mentioned me waiting until it was warmer. And she says, true. And he says, sis, glad you agree with it, or with me, so I am feeling what is truly there. Caitlyn says, I always care and worry about you, bro. And he says, well, I said that as if I were, I said that as if I really do feel it. That is why you gave credibility to what I said. Yeah, I could never hold a conversation with him either. Caitlyn said, only because it's true. So how cold was it when you left the house this morning? He said, probably somewhere around 4 or 5 degrees, I would say. Of course, I don't know at the time, or I would have stayed home. Or didn't know at the time, sorry. Caitlyn said, now you're just trying to cover your ass. Pay more attention to the weather and temperature outside, Nicholas Paul Curry Godejohn. If you were here, you wouldn't like it. Nick said, are you sure about that? I guess you aren't sure. Hee hee. She said, yes, I'd be kicking your ass, bro. And he said, no, you wouldn't. I know you wouldn't, because the one thing I know is if you hurt me, you're hurting yourself. And Caitlyn said, you were walking in the cold, and what would you do if you got sick? And he said, sis, I don't get sick. And I got rid of my sickness I had towards the beginning of cold season because I did, and only get it usually, or once usually a year. That tells you that I won't get sick. With that, as for the flu, I have mastered getting rid of that. So I'm not worried about the flu. Caitlyn says, I'm still worried about you regardless of what you think, bro. Accidents happen too. And he said, well, that is just being your caring self. I appreciate your concern, sis, but try not to worry about me getting sick again, because I won't do it on purpose. If it happens, it will be unexpected. You know, I wouldn't make you worry on purpose. I am not that mean, sis. And she said, sad face. She said, damn, the mommy instincts. Ugh. Nick says, what is this to have to do with me in any form? I know you used to say you would be protective of me, as if I was your own child, but yeah. And then she sends that picture that we all seen. She says, Isaac and I, which Isaac is her son. Nick says, yeah, pretty baby. And then he also says, but I got to get going now, Caitlyn is coming over. Oh, wait, I got to get going now, Caitlyn. My cousin is coming over. I know I might not be able to beat him there, for I don't want to worry you. I don't want to make you worry, or my significant other worry. So I take my time getting there, and please try to have a good night, because I don't want to be thinking that you are worried about me and such, sis. Anyways, I'll say it now, since it feels a good time for feels good to see you say it back. Good night, sis. Sorry, y'all, my cold medicine is kicking in. Caitlyn says, because now that I'm a mother, I care more and worry more about people that are a part of my life. Okay, take care of yourself. Be careful. Have a good weekend. Text me or whatever. Good night, bro. And he says, okay, sounds good. Good night, sis. Night, bro. Night, sis. And then this is 5 days later. Caitlyn, I see you're online. By computer? She says, using Wi-Fi. What's up, hun? And he says, okay, that's good too. Nothing much. Going back and forth between here and YouTube, hun. Oh, he says that twice. She says, I'm suffering from horrible cramps. He says, have you ate? She said, sorry, I got sidetracked watching Dr. McStuffins, LOL. And yes, on my monthly bullshit. And he says, okay. I figured I had to know since I made sure you weren't on the cramps because of not eating or drinking something or, something like that, hun. She says, I know, hun, BRB. He says, okay. She says, I'm back. He said, that took a surprising amount of time. How much time did it take? 1926. Not even 10 minutes, bro. She said, got Isaac ready for his nap. And she says, oh, okay. Or he says, oh, okay. She said, so, what's new? He says, nothing right now. Just taking it easy and trying to make sure that my body is fine while I go through the snow today since, well, it's snowing yet again. She said, Nicholas Godejohn, what in the hell are you doing out in the snow? And he said, it started to snow just as I started to get to the library. It wasn't that way whenever I went to the store. She said, you don't have that much meat on your bones. And he said, what does that have to do with me walking to the library? She says, meaning you could get cold sooner. And he said, hun, the way I dress, that is impossible. And if anything, if you truly know me as a Wisconsin night, that is that us Wisconsin nights are known for knowing how to dress in this time of year, hun. Oh, Lord. She just said, making sure you're warm enough, hun. Nick says, well, I thank you for your caringness, but I do know how to dress in this time of year. However, it's just the walk is the only thing you should worry about me doing too much of, dear. She says, yes, I'm worried about that too, sweetheart. Nick says, well, I gotta take it easier on my walk when I walk back, though, since I guess my heart was beating too fast for my breathing to keep up, and that is why I was having chest pain, and I know for a fact that is why, hun. She says, I'm just going to bite my tongue. And he says, why is that, dear? Oh. She said, because I'm in a bad mood. And he says, oh, what's bothering you? She said, just dipshit. And he said, okay, I hope he isn't up to anything that would worry me with you, because I'll get pissed too. No answer, I see. Having connection problems, I see. It seems I'm going to be ignored. If not, you better speak soon. And she said, hold on a sec. Wait, how long did this take? 1957? Wow, 5 minutes, and he started flipping. Like, I better get a response soon. 5 minutes, bro. Chill. Nick says, Caitlyn responds, he keeps calling and texting and saying he's coming up here for a few months to see me and Isaac, knowing full well that I don't want his ass around. Nicholas said, well, here we go again. Bullshit round 2. Caitlyn, it seems you will never have a chance to be protected by me, even though if my vampire half of me came out around him, he would look like nothing to it. But it seems that chance of that happening is slim. Unfortunately, I wish it wasn't as slim as it is, but it seems to be that way, and you know damn well I wish I could protect you from him, but you are too far away. Caitlyn says, well, I've got people that will be around if his bitch ass ever shows his face around here. Sissy bitch ain't got a clue what he's getting himself into. Ha ha ha. Can I show y'all the picture of her? I don't have it. I mean, it's in this file, but I'm not on that page at the moment. Nicholas says, okay, hun, I just want to be safe, and it wouldn't take people if you were around me. It would take a person to deal with him. And believe me, he wouldn't want to deal with my other half. And she says, okay, I know, but the thing is, you were there and I am here. I know his weak points myself. Don't assume I'd never thought about using them against him. Nick says, and what do you plan on doing, hun? Obviously, I'm the only one you can trust with anything you were to say, so I'm curious. Tell me what you are planning to do, hun. She said his knees are screwed up, so is his back. Take his knees out, he falls and possibly blows another vertebrae. Nick says, hun, tourists care more about their neck than anything. So you could try to also choke him until he passes out, since, well, that would really freak him out. Just saying this, since I know he is he is the opposite of what a true tourist is supposed to be. As you know, I am that true tourist, dear. Oh, fuck. I'm already sick, but they make me sicker. Caitlyn said he's not too worried about his neck. Nick says, hun, if you didn't know, tourists are prone to getting infections in the throat more so than any other sign. Think about that, because you'll learn if you attack his throat, he'll truly hate you. Just telling you this because I know he is a tourist just like me, and I should know what another one truly would hate. I need therapy. Okay. Caitlyn says he's threatened to slit his throat before. Nothing new. Nick says, hun, if you didn't realize it, he didn't do it because it meant more to him. Then obviously you know. I know how a tourist thinks. So if you want to be effective, go at his throat. If you want to do that, you said go ahead. Just know, though, that if you want him to hate you enough to be afraid of you, you'll follow my advice. I know that if you had a chance to go at him and I went at his throat, he would wig out. I know he would believe me. I know a tourist's true weakness spiritually, not just physically, but spiritually. So I would break him down to where he would be afraid to even be around you again, hun. Ugh. She said, I'm reading your message. He said, answer when you can, hun. And she says, interesting, LOL. So she don't give a shit about what he's saying. She said, it's true, hun. I have more throat problems than problems with anything else. He might have never told you, but I am sure he has a throat problem too. All tourists are prone to it, so I know what I'm talking about here, dear. And she says, smiley face. He said, I like that smile. What are you thinking, hun? She said, don't ask if you don't want to know. And he said, I really do know. That is why I was Oh, I really do want to know. That is why I was smiling, hun. She says, LOL, well, not saying anything online about it. And he says, why is that? And he says, never mind. I guess you won't tell me everything, and I understand that now. Even though you have no reason to not tell me it, as you know. Caitlyn says, was reading statuses because I don't need evidence pointing at me if something happens to him. Smiley face. Nick says, are you at least planning to tell me on the phone then? Since I don't see any reason for you to hide what you plan from the one you have trusted more than any other man. She said, yes, I plan to. And he said, she said, hurry up. Nick said, hun, then that means I got to go home now. Wait, I got to get home. And you know, this will tie into our time we can talk for the next day. You are okay with that? Question mark. I know you are a strong woman. I just want to make sure you are okay with what I just said, hun. She said, hey, just wait till later. Nick said, why is that, hun? She said, because I can't talk on the phone right now. Nick says, oh, but are you going to remember what your plan is to tell me, dear? Now it seems you might forget by the time you tell me, and I want to know, just so I could form my own opinion on how well it will work. I guess it seems you may not remember it by then. She said, yes, I will remember. And he said, we will see if you will. She says, I will. He says, we will see. She says, going out for a smoke. He says, all right. And then Caitlyn says, text me back that he lay down. And he said, okay. So I have no clue what you're talking about. She said, going out for a smoke. LOL, sorry. Nick said, okay. She said, meaning, talk to you in a few. Nick said, you were talking about someone laying down is what is confusing me, but okay. She said, the speak and text thing went on while I made my son lay down and was in mid sentence with my mom. Nick said, oh, okay. Nick said, just letting you know, I'll have a lot of walking to do tomorrow, so I might not be able to talk to you on the phone until later that night. Just to warn you, hun. She said, well, my phone will be off on Friday. He said, well, tomorrow's Thursday, not Friday. She said, I know. I hate February 14th. Oh, talking about Valentine's Day. He said, sigh, if you do. Nick said, then again, I'll just have to be on here a short amount of time Friday. Then, and if you don't want to talk on that day, that is your problem since you make it that I would have talked to you then, but you don't care to. She said, I'm just not a V-Day person. Nick said, so our union will be sad on that day. Maybe I don't want to be with someone like that. I want to be able to celebrate that day with someone who enjoys it, not hates it, but okay then. She said, I'm sorry, it's not my favorite day, hun. Too many bad memories. Nick says, well, I am sure of the bad memories, but the thing is, I would want to make more good ones than the ones that bother you, but it seems you are too lost in the bad ones to where I would be miserable this day because you are. Sad also because if anything I know, it's that if a woman can't put her past behind them and live a day they are to live happy with their man, then they haven't become a true woman yet. I guess I thought more of you than this is sad, but sorry for ever expecting too much from you. Oh my God. He's really trying to gaslight her because she's not a Valentine's Day person? Okay, we got another long one from him. Well, I voiced my opinion. That's all I had to say. Talk to you whenever you wish to talk. Just remember, I might always be here until you disappear. But I know what I want, and what I want is a real woman. One who can put her past in the past, because it was the past, and live life day by day, taking it step by step, and never feeling like they have to rush things. One who is strong when they know their man needs them to be strong for them. One who gives me something to respect, not just something to love. And also someone who loves me unconditionally, no matter how rough it is and what we go through. You only have a very little, you only have a very little, if this, it seems. So, with that said, I am not sure anymore if I want to be with you because I feel like you're going to let certain days of your life harm us when we should be living the present, not the past. But the present and taking that into the future is what I see, hun. Good Lord. He put, then you log off. I try to tell you as it is, and you can't handle the truth. It seems maybe I'm starting to feel that you are making me waste my time, and I hate it. This whole conversation is disgusting. Nick says, I'll call you later today to talk to you a possible last time, then I may be through because I shouldn't feel like I am wasting my time. And when I am talking to you, but you are making me feel that way, which means I may have had enough. She says, was filling out an application online. Sorry. Nick says, I see. That's fine. Well, I'm really feeling like I said. I won't hide the truth from you. I never have, never will. I've always been the reliable one to you, but only one that has been the whole time for it as a man to love. Wait, to you I have. Jesus. But I already voiced out my true feelings after realizing what you have shown me and told me. Would I turn my back on you, you wonder? No, I usually wouldn't. But if you aren't everything I ever wanted, then why stay around? She said, I'm trying to put my past behind me. Reason my phone is going off on Valentine's Day is because dipshit said he is going to make a point of calling and texting all day. Nick said, I'm sorry. I don't know. I thought you didn't want to talk to me. I understand now. Can you forgive me, though, for my misunderstanding of your true reason of why you aren't going to be on? Because if I had known that, I wouldn't have said what I said. I wasn't aware of the real reason. I'm really sorry, hun. Connection problem. I understand. I just hope you forgive me because I have always been reliable. Obviously, I'll still be you. Just got to forgive me though, so I don't feel this guilt of saying what I said to you, hun. Oh my god, he's still going. I know you do know I can be that only one you can still trust more than anything or any other man. You just have to let me be that man because you know I fit in those shoes since the way I can feel like you should make me feel like. She said, I forgive you, hun. Hell no. I don't. Never responded. Hi, beautiful. I love you, Amy. Oh my god, my throat hurts so bad, y'all. Guess I'm a Taurus. I got a throat problem. Okay. Nick says, okay, great, dear. Hun, but really, I can call you later tonight because I want to make sure I get to talk to you because I might not even be on tomorrow because I'll have so much walking to do. And she says, yes, babe. And he says, great. Hee hee. Okay, hun. Well, I got to get going home now while the temperature is towards its high still, and I'll call you. You know you can trust me and depend on me. I have always been that one man you can depend on, as it is the one thing I love about being a Taurus. Talk to you later tonight. Talk to you later tonight, beautiful. He fixes his well. And yes, you can count on me doing that, hun. And she said, okay, talk to you later tonight, hun. Nick says, okay, hun, just to say that for on here, since we will get to say it in more than one spot. Here is mine from you, hun. Good night, sweetheart. You better use a sweet name, and I'll let you pick it. Pick it too, as long as you use one, hun. And she said, talk to you later. Good night, love. So that's the end of that day. So, oh god, that was bright. So Caitlyn and Nick get on my fucking nerves. Let me write down the page. I'm on 1860. That way I remember. I'm not gonna go as long today as I did yesterday or the day before yesterday. Sorry, because like I said, I'm sick and I got to make some calls at this moment because of the phone call I had got in the very beginning. Where did he meet Caitlyn? On my yearbook. Excuse me. On my yearbook is where they met. So, thank you. Yeah, I called out of work today. Like I woke up and I was like, oh, I can't do it. Trixie got DNA and they redacted all of it. And then they told her how to go about getting it, which she told me, and then I went to go do it. And they're saying, no, that's on Greene County. So I gotta make some calls. So, yeah, it's gonna be over on my YouTube. I'm in Scotland, so it's a quiet story to learn about. Oh, I'm glad you're learning about it. Get better soon. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna get off here, take some medicine. I gotta go. I gotta go pick up an order that I made for Valentine's Day for my daughter. Yeah. So, okay. All right, I'm gonna get off here. I love, adore, and worship you all. Have a great day. I hope you all feel better than I feel. And yeah, bye, guys.